It was the Dylan Tabar shooting that got me started in all this. I got started in it because I saw something wrong and I started looking into things. And the more that I started looking into things, the more I saw. I saw a lot of things. Things just kept opening up to me. And I did this video because I want people to know what's going on, because I got the feeling people don't know what's going on and they really need to know what's going on. Once something gets too much momentum, it ends up being too big, too strong and too powerful and damaging. I'm going to talk about racism tonight in Orange County, and I'm going to talk about racism in Huntington Beach, California. I'm going to talk about it as a mantra, and I'm going to talk about it as an ideology, an ignorant ideology that is shared with the people of Huntington Beach. They know this is what's going on. They know it. But as long as their house is okay, their little gated community's all right, they're going to be fine. You're not going to be fine, people, because you helped create corruption, you helped create racism, you helped create brutality, and you helped create murder, and there's blood on your hands. And it's what I'm trying to tell you, folks. You just need to realize it. Look into it. I did. Watch what happens when you hit a dead end. Watch what happens when you almost don't know where else to go with what you got, including the Federal Bureau of Investigation, because I went there. They're interested, but they're afraid of Huntington Beach. They're afraid of Orange County. Now, that might make Michael Gates feel a little bit more powerful right now. He's probably got eyes on the presidency. I don't know. I could see him with the same weave as Donald Trump, but that's just a nightmare I had. But I'm going to start to show you some of the stuff that's going on in Huntington Beach and has gone on historically in Huntington Beach, because once you start looking at history, and you got a weird knack for looking at history, and you want to look at, yeah, this is what they told me, but what did she have to do with it? Because she looks very interested. She looks like she knows a hell of a lot more than she's talking about. Not like they propped up Heidi to cover up the Dylan Tabar's murder one more time. God, that was horrible. But anyway, getting away from that, but I'll get back to that because I got more to come on that. But I want to point out historically what's going on in Huntington Beach. Now, I grew up there. To me, it was a surf town. It was the age of Aquarius. We were all figuring out what to do with our lives and not go off to some frickin' jungle and get killed like many of my friends did. God rest their souls. You want to talk about a true American, talk about the Vietnam veterans. Guys who served their country in blind ignorance as to what the objective was. They served their country. And they paid a price for it. And I see a lot of them at your meetings, and I know you co-sign a lot of their stuff and what's going on, and you guys do this thing, but it's crap. I love them for what they did for our country. And I love what veterans do for our country, but I don't like it when we hand them a gun and say, go out there and be Dick Tracy. Figure out what's going on. I don't know what Rob Handy's policies are. I know that I've read the policies and procedures. I've read the code of conduct. I've read the, use of force policy. I've read all of that stuff. And you should read it too. And at the end of it all, if you go, well, shit, kind of looks like they can kind of do anything they want and they're going to be okay with it. That's how it looks. Now, I'm just going to be brutally honest here. They passed a law in Sacramento about the use of force, that people shouldn't be using, police should not be using more use of force than what is needed to subdue a suspect, or a person who is struggling from mental illness. And the first thing I thought was, how in the fuck are these idiots going to know the difference? Because they don't. They didn't with Dylan Tabaris. They certainly lack social skills when it comes to interacting with people from other races. Just saying. Pay attention, because I'm coming at them with all I got, which is the truth. From what I see, what I know, and from what I talk to other people. You see, I talk to them. I'm not like Michael Gates, and I'm going to talk behind your back about shit I'm doing to threaten a mother of a deceased victim. Because that's what he does, ladies and gentlemen. That's right, your city attorney has inherited the role of senior prick of Huntington Beach. Sue me, Mike. I don't have shit, and I don't care.
A racist graffiti mars an exclusive gated community in Orange County. The hate message was spray painted right outside Coto de Caza.
Yeah, KCAL9 Orange County reporter Michelle Geely tells us many who live there are upset and want police to take action.
The Lowe's was crossed out and the N-word was placed there.
Slurs scrawled on 2 walls in the private Orange County community of Coto de Caza have angered the people who live behind these guard gates. The vandalism has them asking lots of questions.
They told me that I could not file a police report because it was not on my personal property.
Sonia Weaver Johnson, who is the president of one of the homeowners associations within Coto de Caza, says she called the sheriff's department dispatcher and the HOA to report the hateful graffiti. She and a group of neighbors met with reporters this afternoon, critical of why it took maintenance crews in the upscale development more than 24 hours to remove the words in bright red spray paint.
And I think that an hour is an hour too late for something like this. I've seen it. We had windstorms just last week, and by morning on our street, they were cleaning it up.
An administrative assistant for the association tells me the graffiti was removed as soon as possible, but she did say that she understands that for some it wasn't fast enough. According to Sheriff spokesman Mark Stichter, no call was received by dispatch. The first his department heard of this was today.
The Sheriff's Department never refuses to go out on a call. If we're called and asked for a report to be taken, we go out and take it. There seems to be a little bit of confusion as where exactly that call ended up, which right now it appears to be not through dispatch.
Deputies have launched an investigation. In Coto de Caza, Michelle Geely, KCAL9 News.
No, I don't know what to say about this. I really don't. I don't know where or who these people are or where they came from. I don't know if they're spawns of friends of mine or if they're people that grew up here. Whoever they are, they don't even close to represent the people that should live here. They should be grateful. They should welcome people. They should love their neighbors, but they don't unless they're white.
Let me tell you what's going on over there right now. Make no bones about it. That is pure, unadulterated evil. I don't even care. I don't even care if you think I'm crazy anymore.
Well, holy shit, honey, I think you're crazy. And I'm guessing by now most of Orange County thinks you are too. And for God's sake, I hope you end up on Orange County Housewives somewhere else. That's all I can say. That's Orange County, people. That's Orange County, California. Yorba Linda. 10 years after 9/11. Can you believe this? Bunch of white people with signs attacking people for their religion in America. That's not America. Not in my book. Well, as Elton John would say, it's a sad, sad situation. Very sad.
You beat up your wife too? And you're a molester? You are, because you just sit there and you're a coward. You beat your women and you beat your children. The nation under God, not Allah. Get out of here. Never forget 9/11. No Sharia law, U.S. Constitution.
Did we do this with the Vietnamese when they first got here? I'm sure they experienced some racism, but nothing of this magnitude. This was manufactured fear, folks. You bought into it. I can't milk a cow for 20 years, but you've been able to milk 9/11 for that long. Hitler had his thugs. He had the guys that did the dirty work for him so they could keep their hands clean. It's the same way in Huntington Beach and Orange County. These are the guys that do the dirty work for the upper echelon of the white nationalists of Huntington Beach.
If anyone wants to know, this is what we're about. It's Rise Above movement. Say the 14 words. Man. They would not have joined. I'm a big supporter of the 14, though. I'll say that.
Why would they not be a target for law enforcement or the government? Did they investigate? I mean, you've got a subgroup that's hidden away, catering to your every whim, the way you want it, and yet you're free from any type of being culpable. And you know who I'm talking about, guys, because you carry on this conversation in those back rooms all the time when you're not picking on mothers of victims.
You will not replace us. You will not replace us. You will not replace us. You will not replace us.
This is people from Orange County, our young men in Charlottesville. They helped murder someone. Again. And you have blood on your hands, people. If you raised these people, you have blood on your hands. Now these pussies ended up in court because they were easily arrested because they're dumb, they're stupid, they're racist, they're reactive, their emotions. Gordon Takamatsu is not happy about this stuff. These clowns just sat before a judge and basically said, yes, sir, no, sir, and took their sentence, well, like pussies, because that's what they are. When you pick on somebody who you think is lesser than you, I'm sorry, sir, but you're just a big pussy. And there's no other way to put it. You just scare people, that's all. You got caught. You committed crimes. You assaulted people who were protesting peacefully. And you brought it on yourselves. And this is Orange County, people. Whether you want to admit it or not, this is what's going on. And the cities do not care about this because they want it to remain white. That's what they want it to be. Forget that we're living on a big sphere that floats around in space and we're really just piss ants when it comes to this universe. You people think you're more important than anybody else, and you're not. And shame on you for even thinking that.
I thought was sad. And what I find staggering is that, I'm a conservative, I'm a Republican, and yet I could call out this threat for what it is.
So Johnson foresaw this, but what made him
And then this happened.
predict it?
I, Barack Hussein Obama, do solemnly swear
that I will execute the office of President to the United States faithfully.
But it wasn't until We had the 2008 election that we saw a resurgence.
And every piece of crap racist scum came flying right out of the woodwork, all the way from the little guy in Arkansas to Donald Trump and in between. They came crawling up from every rock they should have stayed under.
These groups. We had the first time African American president, which really agitated a lot of the racist groups. This was kind of their worst nightmare come true. And then we also had the economic downturn in '08, which provided fertile ground for a lot of people to join anti-government groups.
Johnson was so worried about a rise in right-wing extremism, he testified before Congress in 2012. His testimony came in a post-9/11 nation when the U.S. government focused heavily on our.
We need clients. You know, when I see assholes like this, I think to myself, does this absolute idiot think for one freaking minute that he was the first one to land on this land and that he's entitled to it? He's not. We took this land, and he seems to forget that. We absolutely raped, pillaged, murdered, killed, and tortured our Native Americans to keep this sovereign land that we bear our red, white, and blue on. And people seem to just kind of like, you bring that up and they go, oh, well, that has nothing to do with the... Jesus. Really? You better check yourselves and your Bible, people.
Have been seeing really ever since Barack Obama first won election in late 2008, a growth. In 2008, we went from about 150 so-called patriot groups, anti-government radical groups, to something like 1,360 groups in 2012. In the last year, though, Donald Trump has added fuel to that fire in a very big way.
That is Nazi Germany, folks. My grandmother immigrated in 1938. I know what Nazi sympathizers look like.
Al Gore and George Bush and people like Mitt Romney and these people, they're all the same. You know, they're all the same type of candidates. So it's pretty interesting this year to see something a little bit different.
Donald Trump wants to bring back jobs to America. Give dignity to the American worker.
It's not that Trump is telling these groups what to think. They have, had their own white supremacist ideology for many decades now. What Trump is doing is legitimizing. I do think that Trump will probably help the movement grow as a whole. We may not see that reflected at rallies, but I think we will see it reflected on the number of people who are engaging with the ideas of the white supremacists, whether that's electronically on the internet or in actual person and face-to-face encounters.
He's a smart man. He seems to know a dictator when he sees one. And I hope America does too. I really do, before it's too late.
In the last year, though, Donald Trump has added fuel to that fire in a very big way.
This is the beer hall pooch Hitler did in the 1930s. Started small. Kind of like this stuff. You know, we live on this frickin' sphere in the middle of this frickin' universe, and we think we're so frickin' important. when we're really just not that important.
It's not that Trump is telling these groups what to think. They have, had their own white supremacist ideology for many decades now. What Trump is doing is legitimizing.
And this gives a false sense of empowerment to the little tiny counties and puppet governments that hide out in their little pockets of racism, like Huntington Beach.
I do think that Trump will probably help the movement grow as a whole. We may not see that reflected at rallies, but I think we will see it reflected on the number of people who are engaging with the ideas of the white supremacists, whether that's electronically on the internet or in actual person and face-to-face encounters.
But that doesn't give you the right to search my shit. Do you have a warrant? Stop! Stop!
Just stop!
Turn around.
No, why are you fucking with him? It's doing nothing.
I'm still a novice at this, but I kind of get what's going on here. You got a lot of players, Mr. Gates, threatening moms in the back room, making sure that whatever they do, they don't come out publicly and say what actually happened to their son, that fact that he was shot twice in the back, and these guys covered it up. So you gotta just really just pour it on, Mr. Gates, and just make sure that this woman shuts up. But she's a grieving mother. She is not going to shut up. She's pissed. And you don't know what the hell and how this is going to turn out. You following the footsteps of these people. Now I voted for the guy on the left. He's got to prove himself. This guy's already blown it. This man's a horrible human being. This man just got an early release from jail, ex-sheriff Mike Corona, and this federal judge, Josephine Staton, signed off on it. A Barack Obama appointee. Shame on you.
The officer attempted to contact the man, who was later identified as Tabarrus, but Tabarrus started to walk away.
You mean when Tabarrus chose to not engage the officer and perfectly had the right to not do so? She lies.
Then, when the officer attempted to detain him, Tabarrus spun around and charged the officer. As you'll see in the video,
please watch my documentary. She's so full of shit, she doesn't even know how full of shit she is. Sorry, young lady, but you really got a lot to learn. And you need to learn from the right people, and certainly not Chief Handy. Or anybody else that's there. There were 212 arrests on the 4th of July in Huntington Beach. I just want you to know these are the mugshots, the only mugshots of those arrests that were put up. But I thought I'd leave you with this. This is Jamal Rich's baseball picture. Good night, folks.